everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're exploring personal development, but with a bit of a twist.
A twist.
Yeah, we're focusing on Saudi Arabia specifically.
Oh, very cool.
Using this awesome transcript from the NextGen Saudi podcast as our guide, and man, some of this stuff is seriously eye-opening.
It is a fascinating area, especially considering the rapid transformations happening in Saudi Arabia right now with Vision 2030.
Right. It feels super relevant to be looking at how personal growth fits into all of that.
Absolutely.
So one thing that really jumped out at me from this podcast were these retreats they talked about that combine personal development with fun activities.
Yeah, it's not your typical boring seminar.
Exactly, which is such a smart approach, you know? To actually get people excited about personal growth, you can't make it feel like a chore.
Definitely agree.
Okay, so they started by talking about emotional intelligence, or EQ, and how crucial it is for Saudis, especially in today's globalized world.
It is becoming increasingly important in all aspects of life, really.
Totally. And they were saying it's about more than just recognizing your own feelings, right? It's about navigating, like, the complexities of a society where you're interacting with people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah, that's a really key point. EQ is essential for building relationships, resolving conflicts effectively, and understand the nuances of cross-cultural communication.
And how does this relate to Saudi Arabia specifically?
Well, Saudi culture already places a high value on relationships, respect, and communication, right?
Right.
So having a strong EQ allows individuals to navigate those cultural nuances even more effectively, building stronger connections and fostering smoother interactions.
That's fascinating. So it's almost like personal growth can actually enhance those existing cultural strengths.
Exactly.
So tell me about this organization, Retrive.
Yeah.
They're the ones running these retreats focused on developing EQ.
Yes, and they've partnered with the Asas Institute to make it happen.
What's their approach like?
Well, they're not just lecturing people about emotional intelligence.
Thank goodness.
Right. They're using these really interesting interactive workshops, role-playing exercises, and reflective activities.
So people can actually internalize the concepts.
Yeah, like imagine working through real-life scenarios that challenge you to apply EQ skills in a practical way.
That's way more engaging than just, sitting in the lecture hall.
Yeah.
So what kind of scenarios are we talking about here?
They didn't get into specifics in the podcast, but you can imagine things like conflict resolution, negotiation, or even leading diverse teams.
Oh, for sure. Practical stuff.
Yeah, skills that are directly applicable to the challenges faced by professionals in Saudi Arabia's evolving economy.
This emphasis on EQ also makes me think about the mental health landscape. The podcast touched on that too, right?
They did, and they highlighted the growing awareness of mental health in Saudi Arabia, which is significant considering the historical stigma surrounding it.
Absolutely. What's Retrieve doing to address that?
They're tackling it head-on by creating safe spaces for discussion and working through challenges.
So not just like generic venting sessions.
No, they're collaborating with the Asas Institute to tailor workshops to address the specific pressures Saudis face.
What kind of pressures?
I mean, think about it, navigating the expectations of family in a rapidly modernizing society, or the challenges of being a global citizen while upholding traditional values.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
It is. It's about recognizing that mental well-being isn't one size fits all.
You're so right. It's not just about importing generic models. It's about adapting them to the cultural context.
Exactly. And they're not limiting themselves to traditional classroom settings either.
What else are they doing?
Incorporating outdoor experiences, creative expression, and group discussions. They even talked about these beautiful retreat spaces in the desert where you can unwind and recharge while learning valuable skills.
Sounds amazing. It's like blending personal development with a mini vacation.
It is a more holistic approach that incorporates physical and emotional well-being.
That's so important. I feel like we often forget about those things.
We do. And they're recognizing that mental well-being is multifaceted. It's about addressing mental health challenges, but also about promoting overall well-being.
Makes sense. And it's not just about individual well-being, right? They also talk about work-life balance.
Oh, absolutely, especially with the Saudi economy growing and diversifying so rapidly.
Right. There must be a ton of pressure on professionals.
There is a lot of pressure to succeed, to constantly adapt and learn new skills. It can be really overwhelming.
And lead to burnout.
Exactly. And that's where Retrieve is stepping in, again, offering solutions through their retreats.
How so?
Well, they describe these relaxing settings where participants can unwind and recharge, but also learn valuable skills like time management and stress reduction.
Okay, so it's not just about relaxation. It's about giving people the tools and strategies to prevent burnout?
Precisely. It's a proactive approach to well-being rather than waiting for burnout to happen. They're equipping people to handle the challenges of a demanding work environment.
Super smart, especially in a rapidly growing economy.
Agreed. One more thing that really stood out to me was their emphasis on leadership and skill building. They're framing this as crucial for navigating the future.
Which again makes perfect sense in the context of Vision 2030, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To achieve those goals, you need skilled and adaptable leaders who can drive change.
So how's Retrieve approaching leadership development?
They're really focused on experiential learning, going beyond just absorbing information passively.
What does that look like in practice?
They mentioned team-building challenges, where participants work together to solve problems, as well as scenario-based problem-solving to help develop critical thinking and decision-making.
Like putting those skills to the test.
Exactly. They also offer one-on-one coaching for personalized guidance and support. Imagine being thrown into a simulated leadership crisis and having to navigate it successfully.
Wow, that's so much more effective than just reading a leadership textbook.
Right. They're creating this sort of leadership laboratory.
I love that analogy. So are they seeing positive results from this approach?
Participants are leaving these retreats with practical skills and a renewed sense of purpose.
That's fantastic. It's not just about individual growth, it's about contributing to something bigger.
Exactly. They're empowered to lead, to innovate, and to play a role in the positive transformation of their society.
That's inspiring. And it's all happening within the context of Saudi culture. They're not just importing generic models.
Nope. They're partnering with the Asas Institute, which I'm assuming has a deep understanding of the specific needs and values of Saudi society.
Makes sense. They even mentioned tailoring their workshops to those cultural nuances.
Exactly. It's a thoughtful approach that ensures these programs resonate with the people participating.
So what do you think this tells us about the direction of personal development globally? Are we seeing this trend elsewhere?
It's definitely part of a larger trend. There's a growing awareness of the importance of holistic well-being, both individually and within organizations.
It's not just about climbing the corporate ladder anymore.
No, it's about cultivating a sense of purpose, connection, and fulfillment in all areas of life.
Finding that sweet spot.
Exactly, where everything feels aligned and in harmony.
It sounds like we're moving away from that old model of work-life balance where we tried to separate everything.
We are. We're moving towards a more integrated approach, acknowledging that these aspects of our lives are interconnected.
So for our listener who's now totally intrigued by all of this, what's one small step they can take today to start incorporating these ideas?
You know what's a simple but powerful practice? Mindfulness.
Oh, yeah.
Just taking a few minutes each day to pause, connect with your breath, and notice your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Like hitting the reset button on your mind.
Exactly. You can do it anywhere, anytime. You don't need anything special. Just a few minutes of quiet reflection can make a huge difference.
And that's a great foundation for personal growth, right?
It is. You can't navigate a map if you don't know where you're starting from. Mindfulness helps you find your starting point.
Okay, so mindfulness, holistic approaches, and all these amazing things Retrieve is doing. What's one final thought we can leave our listener with?
Well, as we've been talking, I've been thinking about personal development as a form of adventure.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, when we think about adventure, we often picture exploring new landscapes or trying new activities. But that same spirit can apply to personal growth, embracing the unknown and being open to new experiences.
Being curious, trying new approaches, stepping outside of the familiar?
Yes. And what's great is that it can be tailored to your interests. Maybe your adventure is learning a new language or taking a leadership course or finally changing that one habit you've been wanting to.
It's about approaching it with excitement and wonder.
Exactly. And we see that same spirit in what Retrieve is doing. They're innovating, experimenting, and creating unique experiences.
And the lessons from their approach can be applied anywhere, not just in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. This is about a global shift, a recognition that personal well-being is essential for everyone.
So to wrap up, they pose this question in the NextGen Saudi podcast. If you could design your own personal development retreat, what would it include? What skills or areas of growth would be most valuable to you in navigating the changes happening in the world today?
It's a powerful question. It really invites the listener to become an active participant and to think about what kind of growth they want to prioritize.
This is your personal journey, so what adventure will you choose?
Exactly.
Wow, that is a powerful question. It makes you really think.
It does. And that's what personal development is all about, forging your own path, not just following a set plan.
It's interesting how this podcast brought up all these different aspects of personal development, like emotional intelligence, mental well-being, work-life balance, leadership.
And they're all connected, too. It's not about focusing on one thing in isolation.
Yeah, if you're struggling at work, it's going to impact your relationships and happiness. It's all linked.
Exactly. They're promoting a holistic approach to personal growth, recognizing that these things don't exist in a vacuum.
It makes so much sense. So zooming out, what do you think this tells us about where personal development is heading globally?
Well, I think it points to a growing understanding that personal well-being is essential, not just for individuals, but for society as a whole.
We're not just robots.
We're not. We have to acknowledge that we bring our whole selves to everything we do.
So are we saying goodbye to the old work-life balance idea then?
Seems like it. We're moving towards a more integrated approach, recognizing that work can enrich our personal lives and vice versa.
Finding that sweet spot where everything's kind of in sync.
Yeah, exactly. And the more we understand about that interconnectedness, the better we can design systems and structures that actually support well-being on all levels.
Like imagine workplaces that prioritize mental well-being and have leaders with high EQ.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Employees who feel supported and a positive, productive environment?
It does sound a bit utopian, but do you think it's possible?
I do. The more we understand about well-being, the better we can design for it. It's not just about self-help anymore. It's about taking a data-driven approach.
Okay, so out of all this incredible stuff, Retrieve is doing what really stands out to you.
You know what's fascinating to me? The emphasis on experiential learning.
As opposed to just like reading about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing to talk about emotional intelligence or leadership, but it's another to actually practice those skills in realistic situations.
It's like they're giving people a leadership laboratory.
That's a perfect way to put it, because ultimately, personal growth isn't just about knowledge. It's about applying that knowledge.
So it's active, not passive.
Exactly. And that's what I think makes Retrieve's approach so innovative. They're creating opportunities for people to get out of their comfort zones, experiment, and truly internalize those skills.
And they're doing it all within the unique context of Saudi culture.
Which is so important. They're not just copying and pasting from other parts of the world.
It's about adapting those models to the specific needs and values of Saudi society.
Exactly. Yeah. Respecting the culture, understanding the nuances, and creating something that really speaks to the people involved.
Taking the best of what's out there and tailoring it to create something totally unique.
Exactly. It's a fantastic example of how cultural sensitivity can make personal development initiatives even more effective.
So what do you think all of this means for Saudi Arabia's future, if we think big picture here?
Well, if more individuals are developing their emotional intelligence, their leadership skills, and their ability to manage stress and well-being,
What happens then?
it could have a massive positive ripple effect throughout society. Imagine a workforce that's not just skilled, but also resilient, adaptable, and emotionally intelligent.
It would change everything.
And it's not just about individual success. It's about creating a society where people feel supported, empowered, and connected to a shared purpose.
So this approach to personal development could be a key ingredient in achieving those goals.
I believe so. It's about recognizing that the well-being and growth of individuals are deeply connected to the success of the nation as a whole.
Like laying the foundation for a stronger future.
Exactly. They're acknowledging that true progress isn't just about economic growth. It's about creating a society where everyone can thrive.
It's about investing in people, not just profits.
I like that. You know, one thing the podcast didn't really touch on is the role of technology in all of this.
Oh yeah, good point. Especially since Saudi Arabia is embracing digital transformation.
Right. Technology can be a powerful tool for personal growth. There are already so many apps, courses, and online communities out there.
So much information at our fingertips.
But with that abundance comes a new challenge, right?
Yeah.
How do we sift through it all and find what's truly valuable?
Like trying to find a path through a jungle.
And that's where organizations like Retrieve can be so helpful. They can curate experiences, resources, and expertise that are tailored to specific needs and cultural contexts.
It's about having a guide in this complex world of personal development.
Exactly. And that need is only going to grow as technology continues to evolve.
Think about the potential of virtual reality and augmented reality.
I know, right? Imagine practicing leadership skills in a VR simulation or having a personalized AR coach guiding you in real time.
It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of personal development.
We are. But the key is to approach it with intention and purpose, to use these tools to become better versions of ourselves and contribute to a better world.
Not just about personal gain, then.
No, it's about recognizing that our individual growth can ripple outwards and create positive change in our families, communities, and the world.
It's like we're all threads in this giant tapestry of growth and transformation.
We are. And the more we embrace that interconnectedness, the closer we get to a world where personal development is a right and opportunity for everyone.
That's an incredible vision. Okay, so holistic approach, technology, and the power of personal development to create change on a large scale. What's one final thought we can leave our listener with?
You know what really resonated with me from the podcast? The idea of a growth mindset.
I've heard of that. What is it exactly?
It's the belief that our abilities aren't fixed. We can learn and grow throughout our lives.
So it's not about being perfect, but about embracing the process of learning.
Exactly. And that's such an important message in a world that often focuses on achievement and perfection.
It's about seeing challenges as opportunities and failures as stepping stones.
Yes, having a growth mindset makes us more resilient, adaptable, and open to new experiences.
It's about shifting our perspective from I can't to I can learn.
Exactly. And that shift can make all the difference. Because when we believe we can grow and learn, we open ourselves up to endless possibilities.
We become the architects of our own lives.
Beautifully said. And that's the beauty of personal development. It's a journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. And the most exciting part, it's a journey we can embark on at any point in our lives.
It's never too late to start learning and become the best version of ourselves.
And the rewards are immeasurable. You know, it makes me think back to that question about designing our own personal development retreat.
What would be most valuable to you right now?
It's a question worth pondering. Because the most effective personal development is tailored to our individual needs and aspirations. There's no one right answer.
It's about creating a journey that feels authentic to us.
Exactly. Maybe it's about deepening our emotional intelligence. Maybe it's about honing our leadership skills. Or maybe it's about cultivating a sense of mindfulness and well-being. The possibilities are endless.
It's about embracing the adventure of becoming.
I love that. It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress. And the journey of growth and transformation never truly ends.
And the more we embrace that journey, the more fulfilling our lives become.
I wholeheartedly agree. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what advice would you give to someone who's ready to start their own personal development adventure?
I'm all ears.
I'd say the most important thing is to just start. Don't get overwhelmed by all the choices or the pressure to do it perfectly. Just pick one small step and take action.
Commit and go for it.
Exactly. And then trust the process. Embrace the journey, celebrate your wins, learn from your setbacks, and remember, personal growth is a marathon, not a sprint.
Enjoy the ride.
I love that. Embrace the journey and celebrate the process of becoming.
Yeah, it's about embracing those imperfections. You know, the detours, the unexpected turns that make the journey so unique.
And remembering, we're not alone in it all. We have each other resources and a growing global community of people who are all about growth and transformation.
That makes it less daunting, for sure. It's like we're all on this journey together. And speaking of which, they posed a really interesting question in the NextGen Saudi podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember.
If you could design the perfect personal development retreat, what would it include?
Such a thought-provoking question.
It really is. It makes you think about what truly matters to you. What kind of growth would actually make a difference in your life?
Not just following someone else's idea of what you should be doing.
Exactly. It's about designing an experience that truly aligns with your own needs and dreams.
And that's the beauty of it, you know? It gives us permission to think big, to get creative, and imagine a retreat that's tailor-made for us.
So if you were designing your dream retreat, what would it look like? What elements would you include?
Okay, well, first off, I'd want it to be somewhere I could totally disconnect from everyday life.
Like a total escape.
Yeah. Maybe a beautiful retreat center tucked away in nature with stunning views and a peaceful atmosphere.
Sounds incredible. So you can truly focus on yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want it to be just lectures. I'd want interactive workshops, group discussions, creative expression, maybe even some outdoor adventures.
It's about engaging your whole self, not just your mind.
Right. And I'd love to learn from experts in different areas. Mindfulness teachers, leadership coaches, creativity gurus, even a chef who could teach us about healthy eating and well-being.
Wow, a holistic experience for sure. So for our listener who's probably starting to dream up their own retreat, what advice would you give them?
I'd say start by really thinking about your values, your goals, the areas where you feel most drawn to grow.
Yeah.
What are your passions? What challenges are you facing? What skills do you want to learn?
So get clear on what you actually need and want.
Right. Once you have a good understanding of that, you can start brainstorming elements that would make the experience truly meaningful.
It's about creating a retreat that fits you perfectly.
And remember, it doesn't have to be this huge, expensive thing. It could be a weekend getaway, or even just setting aside a few hours each week for intentional learning.
Any step counts.
The key is to make it a priority. Create space for yourself to explore, discover, and become.
We get so caught up in everything else that we forget to make time for ourselves.
It happens to the best of us. But as we've seen throughout this deep dive, the rewards of committing to personal growth are immense.
Absolutely. And it's not a solo mission either.
Nope, we're all in this together. And who knows, maybe someday we'll all be attending each other's dream retreats, sharing our wisdom and supporting each other's growth.
Creating a more conscious, compassionate, and connected world.
I love that. That's a beautiful vision to strive for.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's been my pleasure. Happy exploring, everyone.